to wrap up this special month involving SpongeBob, I decided to end off with a movie, which was the sequel to, well, not really a sequel, but a standalone movie called Sponge Out of Water. In this movie, the main characters get into a silly situation where a pirate who went through an island, which is actually the island that we've seen multiple times in the intro, and they actually show a glimpse of it in the movie, for the first movie. And then he completely used a book. What's what he wants to see of what's going to happen between SpongeBob and his friends. Yeah, this is actually kind of a cool idea of what the writers are doing in this movie. They have this pirate guy, and he completely writes something, and then actually it completely happens at the Bikini Bottom. So he uses the book, and he gets the Krabby Patty formula from the main characters. And it's up for the main characters to stop the pirate. The majority of the movie is just a huge misunderstanding that it was Plankton who actually stole it, even though he really didn't. And then SpongeBob decides to go out to team up with Plankton in order to figure out what's going on. We don't even get to see the characters go into full CG, which I'll get to later. We actually get to see more 2D animation, which is actually kind of cool because, well, apparently during this time, 2D animation on big screens have completely passed away. But since then we get to kind of have cartoon movies, we get to see this instead. Well, for once in a while thing, basically. And I completely like of how they actually have a lot of 2D animation in this. Especially that it kind of fits the story when all the characters completely miss having their Krabby Patties. And when they actually figure it out, they immediately go to the surface. But then again, it's still taking ideas from the episode where they have to prove that Sandy that they're man enough to handle surface stuff. What I actually like about this is actually the comedy. I didn't mention this, but when I was little, I actually enjoyed the comedy from SpongeBob, and here they actually bring it back. Yeah, I completely enjoy of every unexpected thing of what's going on. It's just really probably one of the greatest moments that we ever going to see from a SpongeBob movie, and it really works for how long this show has been going on. Well, I'll get to that soon. Let's get into the final 20 minutes of this movie, I think. Well, if you're counting without the credits and stuff. We actually get to see the live action 3D animation stuff, which is the 3D models of the 6 characters SpongeBob, Patrick, Squidward, Sandy, Mr. Krabs, and Plankton. And it actually really fit the 3D thing really good. I mean, it really looks really good on how they actually had to have cartoon characters being 3D. Sure, they can be ugly, but for exceptions of the budget that they have for this movie, they look really good. And I think using them at the end of the movie is probably a good idea since they saved a lot of money on that. In my opinion, the 3D animation is probably more expensive than the 2D animation, obviously. And with the situation that they're going through, like trying to figure out what's going on while SpongeBob is just trying to save Plankton, even though that they're both enemies and actually working together. Again, it's not original since we saw that in the Fun episode, but for what they're doing here of how it's executed, it actually works pretty well since they actually did team up other than that episode. So I really think that throughout everything that I've seen throughout this movie, I can say that this is a little. I can say that this is better than the SpongeBob movie. Say all you want, and if I'm ever going to review that movie, it'll be either during a time when I'm actually in the mood of reviewing movies, but for the situation I'm in, reviewing movies is still not my thing, but I'm getting used to it. We also get the introduction of Bubbles. And no, not the Bubbles that we saw from 2 episodes that actually has a long span of how long it took to have a returning character. We get Bubbles of a dolphin in outer space, which is actually kind of a cool idea, and the mistakes that SpongeBob and Plankton did is probably very amusing. And it's really kind of cool that he actually has a 3D animation instead of a 2D animation. I know it's called CGI, but I completely say 3D animation most of the time. I really enjoy his character, especially that he completely helps SpongeBob and the others to get to the surface in order to stop what's going on. I really enjoy this movie so much than I used to, especially the fact of the situations they had to go through, like the book, the pilot completely using the book in order to write off things in order to have the characters disappear into different locations, which really works. But now that I talk about what I really like about this episode, here's the biggest question that I completely have ever since I started this month. Was everything throughout this entire 10 years of the post-movie era episodes, A Powerful Gary, One Course Meal, Atlantis Squirrel Panthers, Truthful Squirrel, and those terrible things that ever happened, was it seriously worth it at this point? I'm sorry, but I can't agree with that. I really can't. I know people are not going to accept my opinions on this, but even after 10 long years since this movie came out before the release of the first movie, it's really difficult to watch this movie. I mean, when people say that those who hate SpongeBob, which is from Animat, it's either people who literally don't even understand what SpongeBob has been doing in the post-movie era. I know it's still a topic that people don't have an issue with, but still, I just can't tolerate of what really happened after everything I watched in the post-movie era of SpongeBob. And believe me, I can't even understand until how people would easily forgive this show after this movie. I mean, it is a good movie, but even when Stephen Hillenburg is back, you can tell that he really didn't want anything to do with SpongeBob to begin with, especially his problems of his ALS thing, or whatever you call it. I can really tell that he really had a painful time on trying to get back to SpongeBob. Sure, this was 2015, and last month was the final month of 2018, but it really felt like he was just helping the show just to get his groove back. That's really all that Stephen Hillenburg did for SpongeBob. Not that he was, not that he didn't need to come back, but the fact that he really had to come back because, well, apparently there was probably nothing else for him to do. But that's what I think of him. And while it's refreshing that the show's tone is just the same as the Oreo seasons, I still don't think that it's really a reason onto why we should easily watch this movie. Granted, it's worth the wait, but the waiting part is probably long overdue. In fact, SpongeBob completely overstayed its welcome by either in the early 2010s. I just think that watching this movie right now, while it's still a good payoff, I still think that it still didn't need to exist. And the fact that we're getting a third movie in next year, which is going to be the 21st birthday of SpongeBob, I think that it's supposed to be a time where SpongeBob should come to an end. Seriously, I really don't think that there's anything that they can do for this show since that Stephen Hillenburg has passed away. I mean, people would be either shocked and completely disappointed at the fact that one of the favorite childish cartoons have come to an end, but let's be honest. I don't think that there's really anything that they can do. I mean, here's my opinions on seasons 11 and 10. I didn't watch any episodes, but I did saw reviews of it and opinions on other people. Mainly the Mr. Miento of... I just can't spell his name right, okay? You can say that people like the Mr. Miento are critics who just want to judge shows on what they want to see and want to see because it's basically the thing they're reviewing material. Me personally, watching these is just really difficult for me to get used to. I know they're older than me, but at the same time, even when I'm at the age where I can supposed to do something in order to continue on my career, it's really hard for me to actually get used to material like SpongeBob, for example. And every time we think of SpongeBob, we really want to remember the earlier seasons, not the post-movie stuff that completely changed everything and completely ruined everything for everyone. And I really think that that's pretty much the case on how this movie was premiered. Show was a big success. In fact, it got more money in the box office than its predecessor movie did in 2004. But then again, they really don't know what to do next. I've got a feeling that I got a feeling that in the third movie, they're either going to find more ideas, which could work if they're not doing the post-movie stroke. But at the same time, I just think that there's really nothing else that this show has to offer. Which is why I completely gave up on the show completely. I did enjoy the movie. In fact, I have the DVD of it, but even 3 years, even after 4 years from the premiere of this, there's really nothing that this show can do other than making more episodes and putting more focus on the third movie. So, if Nickelodeon is going to continue this, which they probably will, I got a feeling that we might be able to enter the next post-movie era of SpongeBob, if you know what I mean. But other than of what happened during the premiere of this movie for me, I still enjoy this movie nonetheless, and it's still better than the first movie. I know people have mixed opinions on SpongeBob nowadays since it's gone back to normal, but for me, I'm still not going to recommend on watching the show no matter what. I just think that at this point, I pretty much moved on and want to do those things instead of spending my time on watching SpongeBob. Sorry to disappoint, but I will still watch the third movie, but if they keep continuing afterwards, then well, I'm just going to ignore it. Besides, I'd rather spend my time watching an hour and a half movie than wasting a bunch of hours of my time watching episodes of the SpongeBob series. Mainly the newer ones. But that's just your opinion on what you feel about SpongeBob now. I give Sponge Out of Water an 8 out of 10. And this wraps up SpongeBob Special Month. I hope you guys enjoy it. And I hope you guys understand where my opinions are coming from. I'll see you next time because, well, apparently I really got nothing for Valentine's half month, and I'm not going to plan on doing it. Yeah, I really got nothing else for this month, so it could be just either normal reviews or some kind of ideas that I can do for February. But I'll see you next time.